Good morning. I know I had the privilege of opening the conference with the talk at 8:30 in the morning on Wednesday, and I get to close the conference with the last one. So I know we're all a little overwhelmed and drained from it, but it's, at least from my perspective, it's been a really good experience and being able to network with everyone here in the state and look forward to getting to know even more of you. I'm going to be talking about asset management, specifically floor plans, and integrating them into the Esri world, which, how many of you have dealt with assets and floor plans and AutoCAD data? So just a few of you. For those of you who haven't, it is not the easiest, to say the least. Hopefully it will get easier, and I'll talk about that coming up. So specifically, these are some pain points that we were trying to work with. This is a project that specifically is related to the EPA Region 9, which is on the west coast of our country. And in the federal space, they have lots of buildings, as well as other agencies. But specifically in the federal space, they have lots of buildings and lots of floors, and trying to figure out where all of this stuff is, and specifically around space utilization. So I'm newly hired. I need to print something, and I don't know where the heck that printer is. I see X, Y, Z, 1, 2, 3. I don't know where that thing is. I hit print, and I don't know if it's on the 17th floor or it's in the basement. I'm also needing to schedule a meeting. Where is space? Where is a free conference room? And being able to immediately do that. So these are just a few pain points that we were trying to solve as part of this work in integrating and utilizing AutoCAD data into the geospatial environments. So just a quick overview of who Innovate is. We are based in Alexandria, Virginia, with an office in the Reagan Building, downtown DC. We are a remote company with about 140 geospatial people. I actually live in New Bern with Alice, not with her, but in the same location. We do geospatial, and I say we're the full stack implementation with the enterprise, so all the way from the hardware side through application development, widget development, database structure, training, everything in between. What I'm presenting to you today also received the 2018 award from Esri last year as part of the Innovation Award. We are an 8A women-owned small business, and we'd like to become strategic partners with folks. This isn't a sales pitch, so I just want to blast through this stuff. Just a quick slide of some of our clients: federal space, state, local, tribal, private, etc. So why are you actually here, and what you want to learn? So one of the issues was, if any of you are old like I am, you remember Lotus Notes. Lotus Notes was a management system. Lotus was bought a long time ago, and it's being deprecated. It's no longer supported. So, but the EPA has lots of their data still within that framework. It's basically like a simple database, client management system-ish thing. Also, their facilities managers want to and will not transition from their AutoCAD space, their AutoCAD world of managing their assets. That's the world they know, that's the world they're going to know, and that's the world they're always going to know. So it was important that we maintain that world in the AutoCAD environment while also taking advantage of GIS. In addition to that, the HR department said it wouldn't be great if we were able to leverage our Active Directory system, our HR system, and integrate the assets, so the actual mapping, building rooms, and the people that occupy those spaces, and wanting to merge the two together. And then a lot of the employees are remote or semi-remote. So they have to identify touchdown locations so that when they come into the office, they can figure out where is a free office that I can use for that day. And we wanted to leverage existing code. So this is based on the former campus locator, which now, if you've heard of Indoors, Indoors has a new campus place locator template, but it's built on that same framework. And we are transitioning it to the new Indoors model. So this is a little bit of what I've already talked about. The floor plan tool is a web-based tool, again, so taking advantage of, I'm a user, but I'm not a GIS person. I want to be able to access a map or a tool via a web-based infrastructure to consume web services, map services, et cetera, in a friendly dashboard. And I'm going to show you this so it's not all words on a screen. We did use the Esri JavaScript API and server to consume and then thusly get the information in. Some of the technologies, this was built on the 3.16 JavaScript framework, okay, along with Dojo, and there's a number of Python tools, and I'll talk to you about the Python tools in a minute. This is what the original AutoCAD data looks like. Has lots of layers, both from the walls themselves, the doors, labels. If you're familiar with AutoCAD, it's just a bunch of lines. They do have polygons, but they're not structured in the same fashion. So an attribute in AutoCAD, or excuse me, an attribute in GIS that you're used to, you click on a line and you get a lot of data of what kind of thing this is. In AutoCAD, they just have layers. So you have a line that has a layer type and a layer color, and there's no real rhyme or reason to it. There is in their mind, but from a GIS person, it just doesn't make sense, right? So they want to make that available, and I'll show you some of the other data that they have in there. So it was important, again, to understand that we had all of this AutoCAD data, and these are, thousands of lines and polygons and labels for multiple floors, for multiple buildings, and how do we consume all of this information to make it fast? Because things change, right? A wall gets knocked down, a floor gets changed, people move, and wanting to maintain that. So we generated this Python script that extracts the data out. And if you actually know Python, you can read what this does. But it very simply reads out and builds a geodatabase. It runs a couple commands that pulls the features from the AutoCAD, does an import or export from that, pulls out the CAD layers, extracts those in, and pulls them into the geodatabase. Well, that's all fine and dandy, and it works well, and you can automate that and have it every day, every month, whatever you want to do. But the AutoCAD folks were ingenious and digitized every single feature. So this is a chair in AutoCAD. They digitize all the casters, all the rolling wheels of the chairs. So looking at the chairs, here are the vertices. That's a lot of data. So when we just consume the information in, and I see people shaking their head going, holy cow, right? So that's a lot of data. So we needed to figure out not only bringing the data in, again, this is an automated process, but then how are we going to actually make this usable? Because with all that breadth of information, it's too big. And the web map would be very, very slow to load. It just would be unusable because of just the chairs having that many vertices. So we ran a thinning process, and we got the data down, and we continued to thin it and thin it and thin it until it got to an optimal place. And I'll show you one other map coming up that illustrates this further. But there is also a utility, if one takeaway that you guys don't know about. So there is a performance and optimization tool called the MX perfstat tool. You can download it, it's free. You download it, you run it, and it will give you the statistics of your MXD. So the features that are within your MXD, it will tell you all of the details of it. And one of the important things are the load times. So before thinning and after thinning, we got it down to a refresh rate of 1.16 seconds. So that's pretty good. and we got the vertices down from about 850,000 to around 600,000, which was, again, reducing the size of the footprint of the data, get it down to something that's manageable. And simply just running a thinning tool, which, again, that was run in the Python script. So looking at space is a real challenge, too, because in this example, you would say, okay, we have one office, but we have two people that occupy that space or that cubby. So when we do a query about who is in what space, how do we define space? So we had to come up with an algorithm to identify shared space. And in this case, we used both this polygon, which is yellow, along with the point feature so that we could do the intersection between the two. And this is how the data came in, because they want to show where the orientation of the people are, where the bookcases are, where is the person's chair, and where are they facing. It's kind of crazy. So this is the ultimate web-based application that got created. It came out. It's again built in the JavaScript API. So simply loading features using the campus place locator. We have multiple floors, so every layer is coded with which floor it's on, and when you basically click on these boxes on the side, it does a definition query to identify and extracts out those features. So it sounds more simple than it is, but in essence, that's all it is. So you have all of these intersecting vertices, arcs, polygons. They're all basically on top of each other, and you filter them out with this definition query. So they all are defined in the same geographic space. And that was one of the tools. So this is in an enterprise geodatabase. This is in the Esri model now. This is not in AutoCAD. So we ran the Python scripts, we sucked it in, and doing that, we also brought in the geography, and the geographic location. So we pulled that in because originally the AutoCAD data they don't care about space. 0, 0 is good for them. Well, obviously, our world, everything has a geographic coordinate. So that was part of the process, that we have everything intersecting, they're all combined, and then this is ultimately what the data looks like. You can then further refine the searches, and this is the intersection between the geographic data as well as the HR data. So we can color code offices, color code bathrooms and conference rooms. We've exposed the query to have searching based on people, spaces, etc. And this is a report of how many are within a specific division. It's a little small on my screen, so I have to look over here. You can also then query out and actually select the individual room, which will give you all the details. And this is redacted because this is real data. But it will give you the name of the person, the email, and we're integrating it now into the 365 system so that you can actually use Outlook to schedule your conference rooms or directly contact that person, et cetera. But it gives you all the details of the person. And again, this is being extracted directly from the HR system in Active Directory. So there's no, let's just do an import every day. Let's do an import from AutoCAD. This is an automated process that we pull in these disparate data sets, merge them together into this ultimate application. And it's all on the web within their intranet. Further statistics. So you can click on and get the individual data of the number of people, offices, where they are, and further refined your information. This is an expansion of the Campus Place Locator template. So it was really nice that we had all of these available into their original frameworks, but we didn't have the ability to get into more reporting of, I want to see all of my people, every person that was within my organization on that floor, show it to me in basically a spreadsheet and be able to have it be clickable. So we expanded the tool to incorporate this. And Esri actually has now brought this into the new indoors. So they saw this and they said, okay, that was a good tool. Because we are a silver partner, so we get to work with them fairly closely. And this report can then also be exported into other formats into a CSV, so you can share it in other components. So some of the challenges, as I mentioned, CAD is really, really heavy. It's big data. There's lots of vertices, lots of arcs. There's so much data there. It can be really painful and can make your application slow. There's server resources. So you're always conflicting between resources and system between systems. So their HR system, they actually have 3 HR systems. They have an Active Directory system, they have an EPA-specific HR system, and getting those all to talk together was a challenge. So if you have that within your own organization, getting that data exposed is critical. They were moving to Portal, and they have hence done that. And then also proxy versus not proxying these applications. And one further bullet would be the whole notion that the asset managers wanted to maintain their data in AutoCAD and having it constantly be updated into that format. So some of the future plans, doing more of the space utilization and reporting and being able to pull that in. One of the components that we would also include has anyone used Indoors even in beta? Okay. So Indoors not only is a map thing like that, but it also does routing, indoor routing. So it will take advantage of if you have set up a Wi-Fi mesh network within your building, you can do, I want to go from point A to point B, and it will do routing for you, which is pretty slick. So we're going to be incorporating that. Also looking at some what-if scenarios, and then the connection to the Microsoft 365 system, as I mentioned, for reserving conference rooms and integration of that. And one of the challenges too is like I said, the definition of defining your spaces. I need to understand where's my prime real estate. I may not want to be near a bathroom, or maybe I do. They've also incorporated, this is kind of a funny thing because it's just recent, is they wanted to map out where all their recycling bins were. Because recycling within the environment, they wanted to make sure that people actually know, I want to recycle that bottle, where's the nearest recycling bin? So here's my contact information. I think I have a little bit of time to take questions. So if you have any questions, certainly feel free to contact me. If you have any questions, we have a few minutes. I'm more than happy to take any. Yes?
So I used to work at the Chapel Hill facility, the RTP campus.
Okay.
So I know that they've got like an internal website, so I'm guessing the general public can't access these. It's only people who are denied, right?
Correct. And the notion is to expand the reach of this utility to other regions. So if another region has the resources, it's already been built, so we can fairly easily incorporate that within other regions' environments or other organizations. And that's an important distinction too, because it was built with taxpayer dollars, with federal monies, it's technically available, and Innovate can come in and customize it for whatever purpose and organization you have.
That's part of my second question. So we want to implement something like this at our university, and so we don't want all of the information available to the general public, but we want some of it for like visitors to campus, and then different levels of access for like faculty versus students who need to know different info. So is that something that with, I guess, ArcGIS, are there options to like limit different layers?
Absolutely. So if you were to integrate Portal with this application, you could certainly filter it based on user groups and user types. So that's one thing you could do. The other is publishing your services with different levels of permission. And you can have access to those data based on whomever you are. So in Portal, if you haven't used Portal, Portal allows you to set up user groups like Active Directory. And Portal can actually use your Active Directory groups if you federate it to server. And we can get into a whole conversation about enterprise deployments. Yeah.
Sorry if you said this in the beginning. I walked in a couple minutes.
It's okay.
The CAD data that they were creating to do all the facilities mapping in the first place, was that an effort that was like already ongoing, and then you kind of just started the process from there, or was that something they actually undertook, like specifically for the CAD?
Yeah, so they were already maintaining their assets in CAD, but they wanted to expose that data in this framework, in this dashboard setting. So they already had asset managers, facility managers that were maintaining and tracking that data in AutoCAD. And a couple of the challenges were the setting up the geographic space there, because they were not in geography in a actual location. So we had to work with them to change that. But once they did, they got on board and it made our automation scripts work. Other questions? Yeah.
So how often do the automation scripts get run? Like if somebody changes where the desk is facing, and that's put in CAD, then when does that show up?
So if they have both a batch system and a manual system. So if there's only, say, one off, I move my chair, I move my desk, and they update it in the CAD system, the facilities managers can go in and basically run an update, and they execute this process, and it fires off all the Python scripts to do the updating. Otherwise, it will run, I think, on a weekly basis. And it's fairly quick. Yeah,
Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry if you covered this and I just didn't catch it. As far as you're linking the specific assets in the CAD drawing to GIS, and with CAD having no place to really store attributes, how are you joining, or what is the unique identifier from the CAD asset to the GIS asset? What is that link?
Yeah, I probably did kind of skim over that process. So when we run there's a whole series of Python scripts that get run. The first is just pull it in from AutoCAD into the Esri data model. So that's the first, get my features into the data model. The second is that it runs over those data to pull out the layer attributes and then dumps that into the attribute table for the GIS system. So it flags walls, it flags chairs, doors, and then it runs another script. There's a lot more than this, but kind of dumbing it down. So all the labels for the actual rooms then get processed to find where they are within the geographic space to then code all of the polygons to which room that they fall within.
So you're asking, can I add on to that?
Yeah.
So when you develop models and everything, we're using spatial joins to do that?
There's multiple spatial joins to do that.
So did you have to figure out a tolerance? Because spatial join, if you're spatial joining ANO to GS polygon, you have to have it has to make sure that centroid of that NO is close enough to the feature you want to join it to. Otherwise, you can join it to the wrong asset. So did you go through a process to figure out, okay, you guys need to be doing your CAD annotation this way to make sure in the process that it's going one-to-one where it should?
Yes, and we also used the leader line because they drew leader line from the annotation down to actually, the room or the closet was too small. They coded it utility closet, but they put it in room 1, 2, 3. So we have a process that runs against the annotation to the leader line into the polygon itself.
So the leader line anchors where you want. Okay.
Yep. Yeah. And if you want more details of any of the scripting, feel free to reach out to me. I wasn't involved in all of this coding work, so I can get you guys in touch with the folks that were doing it, but I've done enough of it, so, all right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.